Chapter 2. Pete and Eddie enjoy a couple of beers. Friday night. $100 floating in my pocket. What to do, pondered Pete whilst he got his thoughts in order. A task decidedly more difficult than one could easily imagine. First, he borrowed the old man's phone for a sec and called up his usual dealer. An OG named Mikhail that lived in a pine bug-infested rented room over on the north side. He didn't answer. Probably fighting with his old lady again over that pipe, Pete thought, clenching his teeth until he thought they were about to break. Then Pete called Eddie, his best friend and longtime partner in arms. He said he was chilling with some girls on 3rd by the burger stand with the big rooster on the sign. You know, where the homeless folks are always posted up with them cardboard signs on either side of the corner. Dicks. Eddie Half Moon was a couple years younger than Pete, but he was arguably twice as hard, though had softened up somewhat since Pete's return from his recent stint in the clink. They had first encountered one another doing community service way back when they were in middle school. He was very short, only 4'11", but what he lacked in size he made up with quickness, cunning, and sheer volume of his voice. And that kid could get loud at slugging down a pint of cheapo Monarch vodka or that Fireball cinnamon whiskey, which for some reason was incredibly popular at the time. His gear was not fresh, but he did his laundry over at the shelter when he could, so his array of hoodies and jeans were never dirty. Ratty, yes, but not dirty. A native boy, he was recently kicked off his reservation, whose name shall be omitted for the purposes of this documentation, for his repeated offenses ranging from simple public intoxication to auto theft and assault. Now, Eddie lived on the streets and slept in a variety of places. More recently under the bridge across from the No Lie Brewery, which was actually very close to where Pete and Eddie were currently camped at.
Shit, Petey, these bitches be trifling. Can't get them away from their phones for nothing. Drives me fucking crazy. All they do all day and night is post on their Facebooks, taking selfies of each other taking selfies. I mean, what the hell does that mean anyway? One of these birds bought me a burger though, so that was pretty cool. So, what are you doing? You want to meet up somewhere?
Sure, man. I just left the old man's and I got me a couple of dollars. Also, I'm definitely going to need something tonight. Think you can call your guy? There was a slight pause over the fuzzy connection.
Yeah, I guess. He should have something. I don't know if he said he was leaving for the weekend today or if it was last night. I'll have to check. Alright, I'll meet up with you in a little while.
Thanks a lot, bro. I guess I'll meet you by the Greyhound station at our usual spot.
Sounds like a plan.
Cool, man. Peace. So, Pete met up with Eddie and went to the nearest convenience store to pick up some tall boys. 2 6-packs of Bud Ice 16-ounce cans because they always seem to be cheaper than all the other beers. For some reason, there was a $2 difference between the Bud Ice and the regular Bud. Sure, they would rather be drinking Rainier, but beggars can't be choosers. They stood outside the store and loitered a bit by the soda machines. "What do we do now, Eddie?" Pete asked, while lowering the plastic bag in his hands to the concrete pad.
Nash still hasn't returned my voicemail. Do you want me to call him up again?
Ed replied in his deep, booming native voice that was unbecoming of his small size. "Nah, give it like a half an hour," said Pete, digging through his pockets for a pack of cigarettes. "I ain't in no hurry, really. Well, maybe I am, but I guess what I'm saying is that I shouldn't push it. I mean, I have been up for about a week now. Know what I'm saying?"
Yeah, I hear. You're in no hurry to die slowly.
Exactly. Thank you. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. But then again, it is Friday night. I figure I'll probs come down come Monday. But I shouldn't really be doing any more anyway.
So then, why are you doing it?
Why do you do it?
I do it because I like to. I enjoy Crystal as much as the rest of them, but not on the regs all day every day like you've been, trying to turn your brain inside out. Big old cast iron frying pan like that old Drug-Free America commercial. Jesus Christ, Pete, you must be out of your mind.
Well then, tell me where that line is, Eddie. Tell me exactly where that line lies so I can step back behind it. Because from my experience with you over the years, you only have a dim awareness of where that line is yourself, my friend. Ed shrugged.
It's hard to say. It's different for everybody. All I know is I see it when it's crossed is all.
Oh, really? What about you last weekend with the Bacardi 151? Eddie did not acknowledge the second part of Pete's statement.
Yeah, really. And you done crossed the line. Crossed it and shit all over it. You're on the express train straight to the grave if you keep it up the way you're going.
Good, said Pete, smiling and narrowing his eyes with sarcastic, feigned deference. That's fine by me. You do you and I'll do me. They walked a few blocks to an alleyway, railroad alley, to drink. Pete was not trying to rack up another open container charge, but Eddie wasn't so self-conscious. He cracked one open before they'd even left the parking lot of the liquor store. There wasn't anyone back there in the alley, and that was good because they didn't have people trying to bum smokes or change, at least for the time being anyway. Then it began to rain lightly. The presents wavered and drifted under an awning. Pete put his bag down in a shady alcove, careful not to set it down in any of the pigeon shit. His eyes told him that there was a man down on his haunches behind the green dumpster not 10 feet in front of him. But the mind prevailed. It was not long before he thought someone was peeking around the corner of the alley towards the both of them. Eddie coolly drank his beer in large gulps, spilling quite a fair amount of it down the front of his black hoodie.
Word is,
said Ed, turning towards Pete and gesturing with his beer.
Yo, Pete, word is there's about to be a lot of heat to come down in the next couple of weeks. Your dad better pack it up. That little all-out-in-the-open operation you two running ain't even funny. Check yourself, I'm serious.
Yeah, well, where did you get this word from? Pete asked, before reflexively looking over his shoulder. Was it from any of Wayne's people? You know they're trying to run my family into the fucking ground. Pete chugged the rest of his beer and threw it across the alley at the shadowy, phantasmal aberration. It simply bent over, cocked its head, looked once at the can, then looked back up intently at Pete. All this extra stress, I don't need this. You know I'm going through something here, Pete. Fuck. You know I'm going through something here, Ed.
Well, maybe you should chill out on all the drugs then, Texas Pete.
I'm almost considering it, really. I'm not kidding. But before I'll start considering anything, pass me another one of those beers, will you? And don't talk about Wayne anymore. Ed tossed Pete the can. He fumbled ineptly and missed it. It landed splashing in a spectacularly dirty puddle in the gutter, which created a bad situation. He fished it out, barehanded, gingerly wiped it off with the torn sleeve of his coat, and got back to drinking with a little bit of grit in his teeth.
You were the one who brought up Wayne, Ed said, and I didn't hear about the crackdown from any of those guys. I heard it from Fish direct, bro.
The Fish had a line on a lot of things. He was also a low-level heroin dealer and a complete scumbag piece of shit. Pete didn't trust his word for nothing, not since the last time Fish fucked him over for $75 worth of pills on a deal involving a Xanax for tar trade. What are you doing fronting with a joker like that?
I ran into him.
You ran into him?
Yeah, at Riverfront Park. Fish was there staring at the geese.
Geese? Fucking geese? Really? That son of a bitch is losing his goddamn mind.
That could all very well be true, yet I can't disregard the fear I saw in his eyes. He's got as much on the line as all of us, more or less.
Suddenly, Pete felt short of breath. His heart felt as if it was pounding much more intensely than it was before. like when he was venting the jug of caustic malevolence. The silhouette behind the dumpster edged closer, eyeing him behind its cutout card void of darkness. Pete's gaze reflexively went towards it. Eddie followed the nonverbal cue and quickly realized it was just another case of head games. They didn't say much for a while after that. They simply stood in near darkness, drinking and chain-smoking Indian reservation cigarettes, listening to the metallic clang of the railways and the drip-drip dropping of rainfall. 6 aluminum skeletons were tossed into the gutter between them before Pete told Eddie to shoot his boy another call. "This is getting ridiculous," Pete mentioned. "Shh, shh," hushed Eddie, while he pulled down the cowl of his hood and put the receiver up to his ear. "Hey, yo, you good?" There were gargling bubbles of squelchy static from the throwaway phone as Eddie conversed quietly in hushed tones and innuendos. Pete listened aptly, shifting his balance from one foot to another in shameful primal anticipation. "He's good," mouthed Eddie, gesturing quickly towards Pete as he put the phone on speaker. "I ain't got much time. Heading out to Seattle in a few," said the disembodied voice. "I can meet you in the parking lot of the Swamp Tavern over by 5th and Sunset in like 20 minutes. I'm driving a white Toyota truck." 20 minutes, thought Pete. So in drug dealer time, that's between a half hour and 3 if the stars weren't aligned properly. "Yeah," said Eddie. "We'll swing over there now." "We?" crackled the voice. "Yeah, me and Pete. Remember Pete?" "Oh, yeah. He's cool. All right. I'll be seeing you." Eddie abruptly hung up and killed his beer. "Let's move." "Yes." "You gonna break me off a bit for hooking you up?" "Of course," said Pete, wiping a bead of rain off his nose with his coat sleeve. "Why wouldn't I?" "I don't know, man. You get pretty freaking weird sometimes after a shot." Said Pete. "Don't we all?" Fucking bullshit.